No one could get the millionaire's son to speak until the new black maid achieved the impossible. Little Noah, just 3 years old, was a puzzle within the grand Worthington estate. He hadn't uttered a single word since he began walking. Doctors, specialists, and therapists came and went, all stumped. There were no physical issues, no developmental delays, just a heavy, heart-wrenching silence. Caleb Worthington, Noah's father, refused to accept it. A sharp-witted businessman in his early 40s, Caleb dominated corporate deals and investments with ease. Yet, in his own home, he was powerless. His wife had died during childbirth, and since then, Caleb buried himself in work, leaving his son to a revolving door of staff. Nannies never lasted long. None stayed beyond a few weeks. Then came Amara. She wasn't polished or pedigreed. She arrived in a faded dress shirt, clutching a small tote bag, radiating a quiet confidence that surprised even the head butler. Soft-spoken, respectful, and black, Amara didn't come from an elite agency. Caleb barely looked up from his laptop during her interview. "You've worked with kids before?" he asked curtly. "Yes, sir," she replied gently. "I raised 2 boys myself." He nodded briefly. "Just keep him safe." No one prepared her for Noah's silence. No one mentioned his tantrums, his distant gaze, or how he stared at windows like they held an escape. But Amara noticed everything. She didn't push him to play or fill the quiet with chatter. Instead, she observed how his fingers tapped when nervous, how he avoided eye contact, how his body stiffened at sudden touches. She moved slowly, humming soft tunes from her childhood, songs her grandmother sang when life felt heavy. Noah didn't run from her. He didn't speak, but he listened. 3 days passed, then 5, then 10. Each morning, Amara knelt beside Noah and said, "Good morning, sunshine," with a warm smile. He never responded, but he stopped flinching. She guided his small hand to hold a crayon, tracing circles as his fingers rested on hers. One afternoon, she coaxed a giggle from him by tickling his toes under the kitchen table. Then came the 11th day. Amara and Noah were playing near the front door. She lay on the floor, lifting him gently above her like an airplane, his silent squeals lighting up his face with a wide grin. It was the first time he looked truly joyful. Suddenly, the door swung open. Caleb had returned early from a business trip, unannounced. His briefcase hung loosely in his hand as he froze in the doorway, stunned by the sight of his son aloft in the arms of a woman he'd barely noticed. "What's going on here?" Caleb barked. Amara's hand stayed steady. She lowered Noah gently, resting him on her chest, where he giggled silently and tapped her nose. Caleb's voice wavered. "Why are you on the floor with my son?" "Because he's flying," Amara replied calmly, sitting up carefully. "And for once, he's not afraid." Caleb blinked, startled. He'd never seen Noah so alive. Not in photos, not in videos, not ever. He stepped closer, letting his briefcase fall by the door. "He looks different," he murmured. Amara said nothing. Noah glanced at her, then back at his father, and then, clear as a bell in a quiet sky, he whispered, "Amara." The room went still. Caleb's heart pounded. He stumbled back. What did he say? Amara's lips parted, but no words came. Noah touched her cheek and said again, louder, "Amara." Tears welled in her eyes, not from pride, but from something deeper, from knowing trust is earned, not demanded, even by a child. Caleb dropped to his knees. His son had spoken for the first time, and it wasn't his name. He looked at Amara, incredulous. "What did you do?" She brushed Noah's hair back gently. "I listened," she said. "That's all." Caleb remained on his knees, as if moving might break the moment. His son, his Noah, had spoken, not to him, but to the maid. "Amara," Noah repeated, softer, like a secret melody he'd held inside forever. Caleb's lips quivered. He glanced at his son, then at the woman cradling him like he belonged there. "How long have you been teaching him to talk?" he asked, voice barely audible. "I haven't," Amara replied softly, stroking Noah's hair. "I've just been listening and waiting." Caleb looked down, a man who solved billion-dollar deals but couldn't unravel his son's silence. "I didn't know," he began, but Amara raised a hand. "It's not about what you knew," she said. "It's about what you chose to see." Noah reached for her necklace, a worn silver locket, and giggled silently, resting his cheek on her shoulder. Caleb felt something crack inside, not pain, but regret, heavy and old. "Do you think he'll say more?" he asked. Amara met his gaze, not as a servant, but as a father laid bare. If he feels safe, she said. If he's seen, if he's loved without strings. Caleb exhaled shakily. I don't know how to do that. I think you do, Amara said. It's just buried under everything else. They stood there, watching Noah play with her necklace, humming a faint, formless tune. It wasn't music, but it was life. That day, Caleb didn't go back to work. He sat with Amara and Noah on the floor, silent, observing, listening. His phone buzzed 6 times. He ignored it. The next morning, Caleb greeted Noah first. He crouched down and said, "Good morning, buddy," then paused, unsure if he'd overstepped. Noah blinked, tilted his head, and whispered, barely audible, "Dada." Caleb turned away, biting his lip to hold back tears. 2 days later, Amara found a note on her bedside table beside a bouquet of lilies and a crisp white apron, neatly folded. It read, "Amara, you've done what no one else could. You gave my son his voice. I don't know where we'd be without you, and I don't want to find out. Please stay, not just as a nanny, but as family. Thank you, Caleb." A week passed, then a month. Noah began to speak more. Not full sentences, but small, precious words. "Light," he said when Amara drew back the curtains. "Cookie," he grinned, crumbs on his chin. One night, as Caleb tucked him in for the first time, Noah grabbed his father's hand and whispered, "Love you." Caleb wept alone in his room that night. Amara never boasted, never sought praise. She simply continued, listening, holding, seeing. One evening, as they sat on the back porch watching Noah chase bubbles in the fading sunlight, Caleb turned to her. "I didn't believe in second chances," he said. Amara smiled faintly. "Kids give them every day." He looked at her, truly saw her, not as a maid, not as someone beneath him, but as the person who'd changed everything. "Amara," he said slowly, "why did you take this job?" She paused. "Because I needed a home," she said. "But I stayed because he needed a voice." They sat in silence, but it was warm now. Noah ran over, tumbling into her lap, hugging her tightly. As the sky darkened, Caleb realized something more. He hadn't just found a miracle for his son, he'd found hope for himself. If you love this story, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more heartfelt, dramatic, and surprising tales. Let us know in the comments. Where in the world are you watching from? We love connecting with you all. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.